Why does your dog cry when you leave? That sound, the whimpering, the low howl, sometimes escalating into full crying that you can hear as you walk down the hallway or sit in your car in the driveway. Most people assume it's habit, or attention-seeking, or just what dogs do. So they feel a little guilty, push through it, and move on with their day. But that sound has a specific origin, and what's actually happening inside your dog when you walk out that door is more serious, more layered, and more worth understanding than most people ever take the time to discover. And the last reason on this list, the one almost nobody talks about, might change the way you feel about every single departure you've ever made. 1. They're not performing. They're experiencing genuine distress. This is the correction that matters most, and the one that gets resisted the most. The crying is not manipulation. It is not a learned behavior performed to make you feel bad or turn around. It is an involuntary physiological response to a psychological state. When you leave, your dog's cortisol, the primary stress hormone, spikes rapidly. Their heart rate increases. Their breathing changes. Their body enters a low-grade stress response that is real, measurable, and not under their conscious control. The crying is the sound of that response finding an outlet. Research from the University of Helsinki measured cortisol levels in dogs during owner departures and found consistent, significant elevations in the stress hormone within minutes of the owner leaving, even in dogs who appeared to calm down quickly afterward. The exterior calm many dogs settle into does not reflect what's happening internally. The crying you hear on the way out is the honest version. The quiet you return to is the managed version. They are not the same thing. 2. You leaving triggers their most ancient fear. Dogs evolved from animals that lived in packs, not loose social groups, true packs, where every individual's survival was tied directly to the group's integrity. Separation from the pack was not an inconvenience in that context. It was a death sentence. A lone wolf cannot hunt effectively, cannot defend itself fully, cannot thermoregulate in extreme conditions the way a group can. The brain of every dog alive today still carries the neural encoding of that reality. When you leave, something older than your dog, older than the concept of a house or a door or a workday, registers the separation and fires an alarm. That alarm is not proportionate to the actual threat, which is 0. You are going to work. You are coming back. But your dog's nervous system doesn't have access to that information in a way it can use. All it has is the signal. The pack has split. The most important member is gone. And so the alarm sounds every time. The crying is not about your specific departure. It's about what departure has meant to dogs for thousands of years. 3. Your departure sequence has become a trigger in itself.
Here's the part that makes separation anxiety particularly hard to break. Before you've even left, your dog is already in distress. The keys, the coat, the shoes going on in a particular order, the specific goodbye ritual you've developed without realizing it. All of these things have been logged by your dog through thousands of repetitions. They know with extraordinary precision exactly which combination of behaviors means you are about to disappear. And so the cortisol starts rising before the door opens. The crying sometimes begins before you've even picked up your bag. Studies measuring stress hormones in dogs with separation anxiety found that the stress response frequently initiates during the pre-departure routine, not at the moment of departure itself. Your dog is crying before you leave because the crying isn't about the door. It's about everything that happens before the door. The ritual has become the trigger. And that's a harder thing to disrupt than most people realize, because it means the solution is not simply a better goodbye. It's a complete retraining of how your dog processes the entire departure sequence. 4. They have no concept of when you're coming back. You know you'll be home at 6. Your dog has no access to that information. They don't experience time the way you do. They don't have the ability to tell themselves, this is temporary, this has happened before, it always ends.
Every departure is processed without the context that makes it bearable, without the knowledge that resolution is coming, without any anchor to a future moment where the absence ends. From your dog's perspective, when you leave, you are simply gone. The duration is undefined. The return is not guaranteed. Not because they fought it through, but because they don't have the cognitive scaffolding to think it through. This is why dogs with severe separation anxiety sometimes stop eating, stop engaging, and simply wait, stationed near the door for hours. They're not being dramatic. They are in a state of genuine unresolved uncertainty, with no way to estimate when or whether it will end. The crying is part of that. It's an attempt to call you back using the most direct communication available to them. Because from where they're standing, calling you back is the only logical response to an absence that has no defined end.
5. The goodbye makes it harder, not easier. This one is difficult to hear. The long goodbye, the extra hugs, the baby talk, the repeated reassurances on the way out. These things feel like kindness. They are not. They are, from a behavioral standpoint, making your dog's experience of departure significantly worse. Here's why. Your dog reads your energy with extraordinary accuracy. When you slow down your departure, soften your voice, extend the physical contact, and visibly become emotionally activated about leaving, your dog reads all of that as confirmation that something is wrong, that this departure is a big deal, that they should be worried about it. You are, without meaning to, teaching them to attach emotional weight to the moment you leave. Research on separation anxiety consistently shows that low-affect, business-like departures produce less post-departure distress in dogs than prolonged, emotionally loaded goodbyes. The most compassionate thing you can do for your dog as you leave is to make the departure unremarkable. Matter of fact, not cold, just calm. The crying you hear when you do this is still real, but it's shorter, less intense, and over time it can diminish significantly because the departure no longer arrives wrapped in the emotional cues that signal catastrophe. 6. The crying is the most honest thing they do. After everything, after all the biology and the instinct and the cortisol and the ancient pack fear and the pre-departure triggers, after all of it, the truest version of why your dog cries when you leave is the simplest one. You are the most important thing in their world. Not one of the most important things. The most important thing. The whole anchor. The reason the day makes sense. And when you go, the anchor lifts. The day stops making sense. And the sound that comes out of them is the purest expression of that fact. Your dog is not performing. They are not manipulating you. They are not trying to make you late for work. They are a creature whose entire emotional architecture is oriented around your presence, telling you in the only language they have that your absence is felt completely, that you matter to them in a way that has no off switch, no volume control, no pause button. So the next time you hear that sound on the other side of the door and you feel the guilt of it settle into your chest, know what it actually is. It is the sound of being loved, without condition, without strategy, without any expectation of what you'll bring back when you return. Just the sound of a dog who needed you to stay and loved you enough to say so.